Jake Paul has threatened to knock out Anderson Silva in 5 rounds after announcing his 6th professional fight against the UFC superstar. Paul will face Silva, 47, in Arizona on October 29th, just over 2 months after fights with Tommy Fury and Hasim Rahman Jr. fell through. So who do you believe has the best chance of winning? Here's what we know about the subject. To begin, UFC veteran Anderson Silva is about to be exterminated by Jake Paul. Jake Paul intends to exterminate Anderson Silva in the biggest bout of his career. The 25-year-old YouTuber turned boxer will meet the former UFC middleweight champion in Arizona on October 29th. MMA veteran Silva, 47, will be Paul's most distinguished opponent since making his professional debut 2 years ago. According to The Sun, the problem child is convinced that he will add the Brazilian's name to his victims list in a big way. Anderson the Spider Silva is the most flexible fighter the world has ever seen, he stated. He outclassed boxing champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. just a year ago, demonstrating to the world why he is sometimes touted as the greatest boxer of all time. From MMA to boxing, every expert has stated Jake Paul will not face Anderson Silva. They claim Jake Paul is terrified of Anderson Silva and would lose to Anderson Silva. To all the skeptics, Jake Paul is fighting Anderson Silva. It's an honor to fight alongside the best UFC striker. On Saturday, October 29th, I will enter the ring respectfully, shake hands with a living legend, and try my best to eliminate the Spider. Silva is excited about the chance to show off his boxing talents, which he utilized to defeat former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. last June. I know that everything in life has a purpose, he stated. Nothing happens by chance, so I thank God for my health, my family, and my team for giving me this opportunity to continue doing what I love. Moving on, fighters react to Sandhagen's UFC Vegas 60 victory over Yadong. Corey Sandhagen won the main bantamweight event at UFC Vegas 60 after a severe cut on Song Yadong caused the ringside doctor to call the fight off. Sandhagen attempted a lot of takedowns in the opening round, but Yadong's takedown resistance primarily aided him. Early on, Kung Fu Kid appeared to have the power advantage, while Sandhagen was working kicks and landing more volume. The decisive moment of the battle occurred in the second round, when Sandhagen hit a magnificent upward elbow that quickly opened a cut above Yadong's left eye. Although it didn't seem to bother the 24-year-old at first, it began bleeding heavily as the round progressed, prompting the doctor to look between rounds. Sandhagen's wounds grew worse during the bout as he continued to deliver strikes and had some success with takedowns. In the fourth round, a caught kick allowed Yadong to get a takedown, but Sandhagen swiftly climbed back to his feet before finishing the fight in top position against the fence. After the fourth round, the cut over Yadong's eye appeared to be getting worse, and a quick inspection from the doctor was enough to call the fight off before the fifth round could begin. Following that, Gregory Rodriguez rejects the nickname Robo Obama. At the UFC Vegas 60 media day, Gregory Rodriguez dismissed the idea of altering his nickname from RoboCop to Robo Obama. The Brazilian co-main event at UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen vs. Song, is today against Chidi Nwankani. The 30-year-old middleweight enters the fight fresh off a knockout victory against Julian Marquez. 3-1 in the UFC overall. RoboCop is gradually working his way up to a big-name opponent, but he must first fight a problematic opponent in Nwankani. Speaking to the media ahead of this fight, everything seemed to be going as planned, until one reporter asked if he had given the Robo Obama moniker more thought, given his uncanny likeness to the former president. It was an appropriate inquiry. When asked if he had considered changing his name from RoboCop to Robo Obama, Rodriguez replied, "Come on, bro, I'll jump on you right now." Rodriguez joked, "Man, Obama is getting old. Obama is a good president, but come on, I'm an attractive guy." Gregory Rodriguez appeared perplexed, as if the statement he had just made couldn't be clearer. "Why do you call me Obama, man? He's an elderly man. Guys, I'm still young. I'm in my 30s. And guys say I look like I'm in my 50s? As Rodriguez appeared upset for a brief period, the media let out a deep groan of compassion. The dignitary imposter then remarked that all the jokes were acceptable because he already had all the approval he needed at home. Next up, Joe Pyfer demolished Alan Amedovski in the opening round of UFC Vegas 60. Joe Pyfer has turned his life around after being homeless not long ago and now has his first octagon victory. The Contender Series veteran won at UFC Vegas 60 on Saturday after unleashing a massive overhand right that left Alan Amedovski flying to the canvas as his off button had just been touched. Pfeiffer then threw one more punch for good measure before the bout was stopped at 3:55 in the first round by the referee. Pfeiffer, overcome with excitement, fought back the tears as he celebrated his victory. "I'm really blessed to be here," Pfeiffer remarked. "I'm completely smitten with the game. Just having fun out here. When he throws, we know he drops his hand. We completed the task. Dana White, thank you. That man provided me with some money and a place to stay for the following year." Pfeiffer launched an aggressive game plan, walking down Amedovski while delivering well-timed boxing combinations. Amedovski was doing a fantastic job with his counters while seeking to circle away from his opponent's big punches. As time passed, Pfeiffer began to pile on the blows as he chased Amedovski across the cage, hoping to secure a finish in his octagon debut. Pfeiffer uncorked an uppercut that missed, but a vicious overhand right blasted Amedovski behind the ear. A split second later, the Italian fighter collapsed to the canvas, and Pfeiffer landed one more hit before the referee came in to spare Amedovski from further harm. Moving on, UFC Vegas 60 video. Nicholas Mata knocks out Cameron Van Camp in the first round. Nicholas Mata's appearance at UFC Vegas 60 was not compensated by the hour. After the lightweight kicked off the night with the prelims, the Brazilian made that evident with a first-round knockout of Cameron Van Camp. Mata finished Van Camp with a massive left hook that sent him falling to the canvas. A few more punches were thrown on the ground before referee Chris Tognoni rushed in to call the fight off at 3:49 in the first round. "I've been doing that for 10 years, and I've been broke for 10 years, Mata stated, pleading for a post-fight bonus. "I've been moving around trying to make something happen, so getting that $50,000 would transform my life." Mata was already setting up his strikes before the knockout with Van Camp, displaying defensive vulnerabilities by holding his chin up high and failing to capitalize on his substantial height and reach advantage. Mata kept shooting big hooks that just came up short of the chin, but as time passed, he began to find a place for his fists. That's when Mata fired a right punch that pushed Van Camp to shuffle backward, followed by a massive left hand behind him that led to the first round knockout. The knockout gives Mata his first UFC victory after falling short in his debut against Jim Miller in February. Finally, Gregory Rodriguez is looking forward to facing Chidi Nwankani at UFC Vegas 60. Gregory Rodriguez is preparing for a middleweight battle against fellow knockout artist Chidi Nwankani in the co-main event at UFC Vegas 60 on Saturday night, hoping to build on his first-round knockout of Julian Marquez 3 months ago. "I always say I want to be the champion of champions, not the champion of losers," Rodriguez said on MMA Fighting's Trocasso Franca podcast. "I didn't hesitate when they sent me his name. My eyes glowed, and I exclaimed, 'Let's go!' Chidi isn't ranked, but he's performing well in the UFC, so it's a good fight for both of us. This is going to be a show between two aggressive combatants. This fight has piqued my interest. He'd best be prepared, brother. Isn't he bang bang? He'd better bring his guns, because mine are always loaded and ready to fire." Rodriguez believes a tight split decision loss to Armin Petrosyan in February taught me a lot about tactics, and he sees several possibilities against Nwankani. "I'll nullify his game and win," stated RoboCop. "Knockouts and submissions occur. I want to end this fight, but I always think I have 15 minutes, but I only have 3 5-minute rounds." The Brazilian middleweight, a former LFA champion, is pleased with the UFC's matchmaking thus far and expects that a victory over Nwankani will lead to a top 15 opponent next. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content like this in the future. And thanks for watching.